So I'm going to tell y'all a story that a bestie sent us about a tone-deaf CEO.
Ooh, I love a good bestie story.
Yeah, and of course, shocker, a tone-deaf CEO? What are those?
That's weird.
So the CEO was the owner of the quarterly newsletter. And on the front page, the very first article that you see is the company's record sales and profits. Because they had a big year. He wanted to celebrate, of course. But of course, the very next week, that same CEO directed the HR team to communicate to all employees that there was no budget for raises that year.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. You communicate this.
So why was there no budget, you say? Oh, because the company decided to purchase a new piece of manufacturing equipment for one of the 9 plants. I was told that all of our employees should be happy that one plant was getting a new machines because it would make their job better for a very small group of employees in a department of just one of 9 plants. I flat out refuse to even try to gain employee buy-in for this stupid decision. This company is too big, and the company had 100% turnover. The manufacturing industry, which is absolutely horrendous, and no one cared.
That is a tale as old as time, right?
Yeah.
Well, when you said manufacturing equipment, I will give a slight bit there that it was manufacturing equipment and not that we bought a company plane for all the rest of the executives, because that's where I thought you were going.
Yes, yeah.
But boy, that's a different line item.
Yeah,
that's
it's
a different budget expense that does
like,
not
oh my
even
God, y'all worked
touch
so hard this year.
comp.
Yeah. Y'all worked so hard this year. I'm going to buy one piece of equipment.
That will make it easier for you to work even harder.
Yeah.
To make me more money.
To make me more money.
But, you know, what really took me aback was really that first sentence. What CEO is owning a newsletter?
I know. Thank you. Can you please? Because somehow HR always gets.
No, well, that's the thing. I am so curious. The people that are listening that have had those situations of senior leaders that literally they want to wordsmith everything. And you've hired a variety of internal and external teams to do stuff, but then they're like, let me go ahead and.
I was at a place not long ago where the CEO did own it, and he loved to have like a corner section about him.
He loved that.
Yeah.
Oh, like learn more about me or something?
I mean, I could love that if you'd be if you tell some saucy details. Let me tell you about this crazy weekend. I mean, I'd probably pay attention
he had
to that.
a corner story
on the clock.
And it was the very first story always. It wasn't like we're building a new location or something along those lines. It was always like, I watched my son graduate this weekend, and I'm like,
but you didn't because you're working so hard.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's great. Don't get me wrong, that's a great accomplishment. And kudos to your son, but
then why can't you use that space to have it for a rotating group of employees to tell their story?
It always gave me the ick, though, every time. Like, I couldn't even read his stories.
Employee spotlight or something, as opposed to just the continual CEO spotlight.
Yeah, just the single spotlight. There's not even an on-off switch for that because it's just on.
Yeah, it's just always on.
It's just on. Part of the challenges, and I appreciate her recognizing, one, this isn't going to do right by people, but then also having that courage to say and do something about it, because too often people are the messenger, and it's HR communicating this, and it's a terrible message. You know, you're not getting paid because
good for her.
Yeah. But it is funny, right? Because then we always get blamed for that, just because we're the messenger of that. You know,
like give us raises. Let me tell you, I don't hold the purse strings to that.
Exactly.
I don't want to write this shit, but I don't want to tell you this either, but here we are.
Yeah, but HR didn't give us bonuses this year. Oh my goodness. We're employees too. We wanted that bonus as well, right? Bless her heart.
I love it. I love keep the stories coming. We've gotten a number. So if we haven't read, stay tuned over time. We will pick them.
And anything that doesn't get read on the pod, I will read it on Horrendous HR as well.
Oh, that's nice.
Jamie's excellent channel. Jamie often on her channels, Humorous Resources and Millennial Misery, those listening are saying, what are you talking about? Jamie has a multitude of channels.
I know. Some we can't even tell you about.
Yeah,
that's
secret ones too.
That's literally true. But Humorous Resources is kind of her, is in Millennial Misery are both meme pages. And so so Jamie amplifies a lot of other people, but Horrendous HR, if you really want to support Jamie, follow Horrendous HR, because that's where you get to see, I mean, again, the point of why I, in the Great Wolf Lodge gift shop, had this illumination of Jamie would be perfect on the podcast as well. So she's really funny.
Is unfortunately all me.
Yeah, it's fortunate. Jamie is beautiful and lovely and hilarious. So please follow Horrendous HR as well.
This new year, it's time to do wellness on your terms. That's where Ollie comes in. Thanks to their delightful gummies, you can actually get a good night's sleep. And you might finally stand a chance of staying focused. Because this is the year of you. Discover Ollie vitamins and supplements. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Well, besties, thank you so much for sending us that hot goss. Let's go ahead and dive in. Let me run through the agenda for this meeting. First things first, we're going to do cringe corporate speak, and Ashley is going to take the helm on that one. And then we are going to pivot into our hot topics. And today's topic is all about HR for HR. Surprise, sometimes HR has HR. Some of you all don't know that, but if you are a party of one out there, or if your HR for HR sucks, we're here for you today. And so we'll dive into all of those things. And then because we do, have a hard stop, this isn't an all-day offsite or anything. We apologize for that. We are going to then transition into questions and comments at the end. And so, Ashley, if you'd like to transition us into our first topic.
I sincerely appreciate you saying that, because I will introduce best regards and generally the topic of email signatures, which I find frequently to be a topic of cringe. Okay, please just tell me, some of these email signatures, like best regards is, I imagine this twirl, twirl, you can't see me, but you can hear me, of like a twirl, twirl bow. But this thing of like, how do you sign your emails? And so what are some of the email signatures that you've seen that bring the cringe?
Well, first off, I always use best. And I don't even...
Best what?
Just best.
I'm the fucking best?
It's just neutral.
Best.
Yeah, to me.
Do your fucking best.
Bestie?
Yeah,
I'm going to write besties.
Yeah,
besties.
Besties.
XOXO.
I just put best. And people say that's passive aggressive. I just mean it. And, I wish you the best, basically. So I'm Texan, and that's what we mean when we say that.
Okay.
So that's what I do. Maybe it's a regional thing, but it's not passive aggressive at all. And then if I actually like you, or you did something for me, I put thanks with an exclamation point. So if it's just informational, it gets best, and I wish you the best, or I will not put it.
Jamie, have you ever gotten an email from Leigh that has a thanks exclamation point? I feel like I'm going to look back and I'm going to see best.
I've only seen best.
Yeah. It's only if you've actually delivered something to me. And then I'm actually thankful.
You've set the standard. Now it's what about you,
But sometimes
Jamie?
it's just informational, right?
I'm more of a thank you girly. I don't have it's not a standard in my signature. It has been before, but same thing. If you're delivering something to me, it's in all caps, thank you, and then
exclamation.
You're a fucking not you're a fucking rock star, but you're a rock star, or no, but seriously, if someone delivered a report to me, I'm like, you're an Excel wizard. I actually always kind of go that extra mile to give them that. Yeah. But if it's just a standard email, it's usually just a thank you.
Sometimes people will follow in the footsteps of something like a predecessor or their boss, or they'll try to copy these things. I actually have baked into my emails, it automatically says with thanks, Ashley, and then I have to change it. When I was in college, I played field hockey, and my field hockey coach used to sign her cards "Blue Skies," and I thought that was great.
Oh, that's cute.
Well,
that's
thank you.
Really cute.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, because when I was first dating my husband and we stayed at his parents' house for a visit, I wrote them a thank you card, and he Dan's like, why'd you write blue skies to my parents? I'm like, well, they must have told, what? He was like, to this day, he's like, blue skies, what the fuck are you talking about? That is so corny. And I'm like, I don't know.
I like
think it's
it.
Blue sky. I wish you blue. He's like, what are you talking about? It's partly cloudy. Partly cloudy.
You're just giving the weather and your side up.
Exactly.
Sunny and clear, bitches.
What?
I like blue skies.
Thank you. I
think that's fresh. Maybe it's more an HR for HR
I think it's an HR. So I'm curious how people sign off their emails, but it is funny when I used to see this in law firms that associates, especially as they would follow the path of their leader. And so it would be my greatest pleasure or something. It would be some unique thing. And then you would see somebody else do it and you'd be like, oh, come on. Don't do that.
What gives me the ick is when people have really cheesy, corny quotes.
Yes, I was thinking that. So to your question on what's the corny in the
any
email?
kind of quote, especially it's like,
In a
don't get me
fuchsia
wrong.
color.
Yeah.
It's always in a fuchsia.
IT does. I don't think IT likes that.
In
because
like
it
a
takes up
script
bandwidth.
too, in like script lettering.
my
Like,
Yeah,
girl,
it's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
those are the ones I
absolutely-
hate personally. I don't like. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen some like nice, like quotes, but
yeah.
Well,
I've seen some like ones where I'm like, that's what you chose.
well, often you see it in like an investigation, and it's someone's like, this person's like mean, and you see this, you read the body of the email, and you're like, God, that's aggressive, like, it's offensive, and then the quote is like, always be positive,
Yeah.
sprinkle love
Exactly.
everywhere,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, like yeah,
Like,
oh gosh.
peaches and rainbows.
exactly, like blue skies.
I like blue skies.
See?
I think
actually
that's
do
cute.
too.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
precious. Well, we
Yeah.
can sign our emails to each
We
other
will.
with that now.
I'm gonna aim though. My goal
We'll
for
try.
2024 is to get a thanks exclamation point, 2
From me,
exclamation point. But that's
you
got to
do something for me.
Well.
And I've never done a 2 exclamation pointer on that thanks.
Well,
Just a 1.
it's like the equivalent of like all 10s on Dancing with the Stars. So
Yeah,
you really
like me
have
on
to,
the other hand, I'm like mashing
too.
down the one.
Well,
the
I like a
exclamation point.
good. I like a good Google image search, and so I like a good like meme of like a funny Google image. You have to find the right person, but
Well, yeah,
and again, IT I don't think likes that because you're really
Yeah.
sucking up some bandwidth. That's
Yeah.
really not necessary.
Yeah.
But that's unnecessary is the name of the
Yeah.
game sometimes.
Well, what are some of the cringy ones you see? Do you see cringy ones out there?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Like, I once saw "Bless Your Heart," and
Nope, that's
like
not
writing
used
FU.
correct.
Yeah,
That is an
right,
FU
right,
from where I
right.
come
and that
from.
was in the right because in the South, that's exactly what it means.
Yeah.
I'm from Texas, but yeah, I know.
And I remember, well, once I worked with somebody that did have a picture of herself smiling in her email signature. And
Oh my God.
and it was at their desk. And I love, again, like this, I keep bringing up IT. I'm not an IT brain, but I do have to imagine, like, IT's like, please stop. Please stop. But it always brought me joy when I would communicate because I'd be like, there's this person, especially if you work remotely. So I kind of like that, but it's probably a worst practice from an IT standpoint. But I
and
see
from
some,
HR, that would be so funny.
yeah, but I saw an out of office, which probably is another topic, but the other, I send a weekly newsletter, and the other day I got one. I put it on my Instagram. The out of office literally was, "Thank you. I will respond to your email as time allows," or like, "I'm very busy," or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was just like,
Yeah.
I will respond when I feel like it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's it. No thanks. No, none of that signature. Just it is what it is, and I respect that.
I respect that too.
Yeah.
I love all those Gen Z sign-offs, right?
Oh my
We've all
God,
seen
yes.
the memes and all the
Yes.
things that they're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I
Great.
mean?
Oh my God, yes.
I love those. If you haven't seen those, Google them because they're freaking hilarious.
Yeah,
you
they're
know?
pretty good.
Yeah, and some orgs they kind of have like team competitions. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
The funniest sign-off. You
On
know?
my deathbed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
comma.
Yeah.
down.
Yes, they're funny. It's
exactly.
like
Crying in corner.
Yeah.
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 Oh, I love those. All right. So we're going to try and use best regards then, passive aggressively through the rest of this meeting. Feel free to try that on too in your email, especially if you are putting blue skies. Perhaps best regards can be swapped in. I like blue skies. I think that's really cute.
I do too.
I couldn't imagine like, my CEO or something sending that, but I think that would change the culture for real. Like
I
a
think
CEO like sending that, male or female.
But I do. I will probably, if I look, I have
Blue
emails from partly cloudy. Yeah, I do.
Thunderstorm.
Thunderstorm. I think it's rain.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I think I'll just start using that actually, and I'll just put however I'm feeling as the weather.
Oh yeah.
You know,
that's
what?
right.
Icy,
I-
comma. You know what I
Icy
mean?
queen.
I know,
Icy.
exactly. Oh, okay.
Elsa.
Well,
There's a reason this
I
is an
know.
email, not a phone call. Leigh.
Exactly. That's a good one. That's a good one. We'll adopt that one too. All right. Well, that was today's Cringe Corporate Speak. Love a good email sign off. Moving now to our hot topic of the day, and that is everything HR for HR. Thoughts generally on HR for HR. Who wants to kick this off?
Who takes care of HR when HR has a problem, right?
Mm-hmm. That's what HR for HR is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who takes care of HR? Serious question, but let's say I am HR, I report to the CHRO, and I have an issue with the CHRO. Who do I go to?
You go to God, girl. and you go and you go to the streets, okay? You got to get to
best regards out of there.
I'm sorry, but that is my pro advice. Nearly 20 years in corporate, you are fucked with a capital F, and so you go to God, girl. Good luck on that. But that is still a great existential question when you do have a problem, especially with someone in HR. What do you do and where do you go?
Well, and I think the question too has come up a lot on my TikToks is like, where am I supposed to go if I don't trust my HR? You know, and I'm like, well, there's always ethics hotlines. There's hotlines.
Not always.
Yeah,
No.
There's hopefully.
Often not. But the way those ethics hotlines tend to work, which is
They
interesting.
go to
point.
HR.
Right. The
Well,
ethics
or legal.
hotline, ethics hotline isn't a wizard, and so that's why it's super important for people to understand what happens because frequently what happens is sometimes you may have external, reviewers, investigators.
There might be a third party. There might not.
Like Carmen San Diego, but maybe that's
Where
not right.
in the world is Carmen San Diego?
But it is going to be funneled back internally.
Yes,
so it's important
somehow,
for people to know that. But it really is true. Is we can give you advice, and we will, till or thoughts, till we're blue skies in the face. But we sometimes it really is a sign. But if your CHRO, your CPO is that one, and that can exist, especially if that person has moved into role and has not been in HR previously. That person has a finance background. Now I'm taking on HR as well. I'm a lean team. Well, that's a real skill set, so that can be hard. But from a general HR standpoint, it is important to know that people in HR, things that I have found helpful. I in the past have used an EAP.
Yeah.
And I tell people that. That's my personal choice. It is nobody's obligation to ever tell anybody you use it. But I've used it in part because I thought it would be helpful. And two, I also wanted to understand what that experience was like. And I had feedback to that. No surprise. But I actually found it really, really helpful. And what that can be, an EAP is an employee assistance program. More organizations, if you don't have it, please have it. Generally, the organization pays for it. It's not a high cost often.
No.
And it provides free counseling, resources to employees and their dependents, generally whether they are in your benefits or not. People globally, meaning outside of the U.S., will think, what the fuck is this? Because we have this baked in. In the U.S., you often don't have this. And so you don't have these as a matter of right. So the EAP, though, can have this. So it's important for HR to remember things like this that you're sending emails about. Those do exist for you, and having sometimes those work besties and the people that you have from prior organizations who know what it's like and can remind you you're a capable individual, but having that level of support's needed.
Yeah, I love the feedback there on EAP, but fun fact, we could get the latest year's statistics, but I know just a couple years ago, unfortunately, the utilization in the U.S. is horrifically low. It's 4%.
96% of medium to large size organizations have them.
But yeah, it's very, very low because there still is such a stigma, and EAP equates to therapy for most people, even though they have tons of other different services, right? Legal support, caregiver assistance. All sorts of stuff, right? As part of the EAPs typically. But I think that that's really great advice. And what I hear you saying, Ashley, is really looking outside of your organization too, because HR, let me tell you, as a function has been one of the most toxic departments or groups that I have experienced. Now, it's all I've ever known, right? But we have so much drama in HR a lot of times, especially in larger teams, larger multi-billion dollar, 100,000 plus people organizations. It gets cutthroat. It gets very political. And partly it's because of a lack of HR for HR. That's what I see, right? Is a lot of, folks just kind of, doing what they can to stomp down and kiss up and all of this. And, I've just really, really seen that. And I've seen HR professionals almost take the position. Again, it happens in every function. I'm not saying HR people are bad. We're not. But I do see HR, professionals take that position where there's nothing I can do. And sometimes they're right. There's literally nothing that you can do because you don't have access to certain support. You would be that person to you, right? You don't have that access. And so looking external is a wonderful reminder, from EAPs to, I think you said mentorship as well, or mentoring outside, but organizations, memberships, groups outside your own HR can be very, very helpful.
And I think, I know I've said this before, I think the community that all three of us have created with our social media, but now HR Besties is another outlet, right? And, I'm a part of a group on Facebook that is, I don't want to say it per se, but it's a great group on Facebook, and you can post anonymously if you just have a general question and kind of feel silly asking it, or you are having an issue with your boss and you just kind of want to be walked through. I mean, there are other outlets other than, being able to go to the CHRO or whomever to complain. So that's why I think each of us created our accounts. And, I've been, and I've said it millions of times, but I've been in HR Department of One a lot. So it's very lonely. And having a system, a support system, this could be past work besties and people that know you, but also these groups and what we've created, I think is very special and also helpful.
And it's funny, as you said that, I never thought about this, Leigh, but as you were talking, as you talk about HR, so I'm a little unique. I've been in legal and I've been in HR, including in-house at companies. And I actually do probably find in legal departments, there is more collegiality, and in part because in the law, it's more defined. You have this qualification. It's win-loss. There's more structure.
Black and white.
It is. There's more structure, and you're not, sometimes you're dealing with the people issues, but often it's more of within the limits. What's legal? You have more of a road to go along. And my legal departments have, all of them, been incredibly collegial. And I think about that. And in the HR, though, I do think because you have the people of varying backgrounds and you have people responsible for people challenges and people things that don't have training, and from imposter syndrome to survival mechanism to self-preservation. For a lot of those reasons, I do think you find this with people getting, territorial and things like that, which is really, I literally never thought about that before.
Yeah.
But so one thing that I think would be helpful, whether you're a team of one or you're a bigger team, is in HR and in people, you are going to be working with people issues. And so the question is, what can you do? So looking externally for support, and then internally, what can you do? Because at a lot of organizations, you're going to run into the same frustrations, which is, we get all the same questions, we get these things. And some of it is when you're dealing with things like benefits or time off, people just don't know. And these are things that are really important. And you in HR, you live this day in and day out. And so while it can seem, oh God, I get this question frequently. Well, people don't realize that. They have no idea what your inbox looks like. Everyone wants your time. And so what can you do to create resources to answer okay, what questions am I getting a ton? I've recommended this a lot. I've done this internally and I've recommended this a lot. What can I do for current employees to list out that information for new hires? And then for terminating employees to have things in one place to give people your own tools. And then what can you do also proactively? So when I was in legal and HR, I had a lot of the same questions about oh, we need to make a change. Oh, we need to have this. So I started creating proactively creating newsletters and tips. And this is how you can run a meeting. This is how you can have these conversations. And giving those tools was something I was able to do autonomously. And it made my life easier because I was getting less of the same questions and I was able to be more strategic. And so some of this was figuring out what you can actually do within your purview.
Yeah, I love how Jamie kind of kicked us off with, who takes care of HR? Who takes care of the caregivers, right? What happens when HR is burned out? Because really, HR professionals are providing a lot of selfless service. There's a lot of selflessness in HR. And to your point, Ashley, it's, people don't know your inbox, and most HR professionals' inboxes are on fire. They are literally lit with gasoline.
From people that want you to put out their fire immediately because they
have
think
to have it.
You should know the knowledge top of hand and they need the answer right away for their own mental state.
Yeah, and everyone has all the things going on. So we're supposed to be subject matter experts in everything. And so who takes care of HR? You do. You take care of yourself. You prioritize yourself first. That is the greatest act of self-love. It truly is. You create those healthy boundaries. You can choose to do that. I mean, so I have a lot of HR professionals that reached out to me, and I do a lot of HR for HR coaching, and they talk about that a lot. Like, boy, I hate my life, right? I mean, people have been very blunt with that, right? And because I hate my work schedule and my work life, and my job is overtaking my personal life, and I have no boundaries, I have no this, and I have that. And it's kind of like, hey, and you know what the coolest thing is though about that? That you are totally in control of changing that.
Yeah.
That is something that you own and that you can do, And so you really have to internalize that. Who takes care of you? You do. You prioritize that, because there really is that mentality in HR that it's everybody else first and you last. And that's what I have seen my entire career.
Yeah.
We are the cobbler's kids without shoes. We're the last to get paid. We're the last to have training. We're the last to do freaking everything all the time. We have sometimes the lowest titles. We'll be in a C-suite room as directors. Are you freaking kidding me?
Everybody else
is a C title. That's disgusting. They have us reporting to finance sometimes. They have, just the most ridiculous shit. And it's the same thing other professions like nurses or teachers or whatever, that they're experiencing as well, especially people, community helpers, like people that are there serving people day in and day out. It's that selfless service really. And we are those therapists, those corporate, in business world therapists. And we just have to recognize and realize that no one else is looking out for us in the workplace the same way we look out for them. So it's really important to put yourself first. It's that whole oxygen mask adage and all of that. But that is so important so that you can show up healthy each and every day.
Sometimes people say, well, I'm giving myself love, but then it's not, my love's not coming back to me because I'm still a team of one and I'm expected. But I do think for self-advocacy is thinking about how then can I articulate these things I'm feeling? And I am in the same group as Jamie where people say, I am burnt out. And that is, and so sometimes this advocacy is this managing up and talking to your leaders, whoever that is, CFO, CEO, your HR leaders, and saying, articulating in that way, because often those CEOs really often have no idea what your inbox looks like. And so sometimes it's like, this is a sense, and don't let them get too close because they'll be like, let me see this employee's complaint. And you're like, no, that's not the point of this conversation. But so having the CEO sit that with there and have them look at the inbox to see the volume. Again, don't let them, they'll be, oh, let me see that email from that. No, that's not the point of this conversation. Yeah. But to say, this is what I'm getting, and it's really important for me to get answers to these questions so that people can have the information they need to do their jobs. But I'm having trouble doing this alone, and either two options. I'm gonna burn out, candidly, and I don't want to. I want to be here and be able to support people. And so whether that looks like adding additional resources, what can we do? Can we add headcount? Can we add people? In freeing that in that language to say other people are, they're spending their day instead of on the sales call, calling me because they're trying to get answers to this. I want to get them that information. I can't do it on my own. And sometimes those types can be the self-advocacy by showing, I want to help you meet business goals. I need more resources, whether that's people or otherwise, or I can't be expected to be on calls 24/7 because I'm going to fizzle out. And that's not good. And I don't want that. You don't want that. And so meeting people where they are in that way can be the way that you can lend that self-advocacy to get some of those resources that are desperately needed in HR/people teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do not forget, one of the most powerful words that you can use for yourself is no. That is a word that I swear HR professionals don't know about.
Yeah. What's that word?
Exactly.
Let me write that down.
Yeah, you mean on? On 24/7?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just be careful because that organization will exploit you too. So just be careful, create those healthy boundaries and support one another. And that's a big focus of ours when it comes to you, our community. We're all about supporting. And if you don't have HR for HR, we are your HR for HR. And we hope you feel supported through HR Besties and our meeting. Thank you so much for that hot topic, team. I think that was a very healthy thing to discuss here and hopefully something our audience appreciates. Again, I know we do have a hard stop coming. And so any questions or comments before we close this meeting?
I have a comment. I have a question.
Yes.
You have a question.
Okay.
Is as you think about relaxing, when you're like not working, what are like your hobbies or things that you do to like relax or chill when you're not at work?
Y'all know what I do.
What?
Social media.
Yeah, but see, I know.
I was biting my tongue. I was going to bite my tongue. I gave you my best regards. I was going to have positive intent. What else, though?
But to me, I see that as a job.
Yeah,
it's a hobby you've monetized.
Well, not enough.
Yeah,
I know, never.
More.
It's never enough.
Do enough for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I that's. Like I said, I feel like I have 3 full-time jobs, my real HR job, social media, and then this podcast. So I don't feel like I probably take care of myself enough. One thing I will say that I was doing actually prior to the pandemic was I was trying to take off 1 day a month for myself. My kids were in school. And it might have just been me sleeping throughout the day. It might have been me getting my hair done. It might have been me getting a facial, which I very rarely do this kind. But I was trying to do it every month. And most of the time it didn't happen once a month. It was like once every 2 to 3 months. But I was really good about it. And that really helped. But to be honest, when that pandemic hit,
all
hell broke loose. And truthfully, I haven't gone back to that schedule simply because when you work from home, I almost feel like it's a little selfish of me to take a day because my kids are at school and I can do laundry and not so much the sleep in part. But, I haven't done that. And that's something I should, that's a 2024 goal really for me.
Oh, that's nice. I'll tell you, there is that pre-COVID Leigh. Right where I
she was cute, wasn't she?
Yeah, I know she was cute. Yeah, she was like doing Peloton and she was doing marathon training, even though she's slower than a turtle in molasses. But she loves being out there, getting that medal and that bling bling. So there was me. I was training for a number of things, and I was the one like on the My Fitness app or whatever Strava. I have Strava. Yeah, I do Strava, and I was drawing like penises and stuff in my runs. Like I do that. Yeah, if you follow me, you can see and I think I wrote out I love tacos and stuff. Like I was doing all that crap. Don't judge my times. I was drawing. That
I was concentrating more on the penis and the veins.
Exactly. Yeah. That shit's art there.
Best regards.
Yeah, but I'm and I was reading Pulitzers and stuff, and I was doing all sorts of things. But what? Actually, the things that I like to do is that I am into like Netflix and Hulu, and what I'm mostly watching are documentaries because I'm a huge human behavior nerd. And so I love that. Just, hearing crazy stories and learning. But I'm also very sensual, meaning not in a sex way. Not just in a sex way. No. But I'm a highly sensitive person. So sight, sounds, touches, smells. So I'm that freak that's like hanging out at the grocery store, touching, smelling, and tasting everything. And I could have a date with myself at the grocery store for 2 hours. And I'm not kidding. So I'm just walking distance from a really badass grocery store in San Antonio, and I will just get coffee, hot chocolate, wine, whatever, and I'll just going through the grocery store. No shit.
That sounds kind of amazing.
No, it is fucking amazing. Okay, I love it. You know,
it's very similar to. So if you think you've seen HR Manifesto in the grocery store stroking,
they have. They take pictures of me.
Or the question is, as Leigh got, have you ever heard of and/or are you HR Manifesto?
Last night. Can I ask you a question? I was like, yes. Have you ever heard of or are you HR Manifesto? Yes and yes.
I love it. We love it, by the way. We do love it.
But hey, a good place to paparazzi me, which has happened, is at the grocery store. I'm just there caressing the milk and shit. Don't mind me having a free tortilla and whatnot.
Stroking the spaghetti squash.
Oh my God, girl, you dirty. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I will now, though. I will try that out. I'm going to send you a picture next time I'm there.
I need a photo.
I'm going to take a video for you. That's terrible. You have to pay extra for that.
Best regards.
Premium content.
That's my OF shit. That's my OF shit. Okay. Leigh at the grocery store. Oh my God.
Revenue generator right there.
Ooh, damn. Okay. Well, now I'm thinking, like my wheels are churning about the OF content with vegetables. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, no. Okay. Transition. That took a turn.
Ashley, what do you do?
What do I like to do? I can't think of anything. No.
What do you do with
anything
vegetables?
with an eggplant?
I can't think of anything that I do right now.
Banana? Cucumber.
No, I'm look, no, I like to golf. Actually, I'm a left-handed golfer, and so I love to golf. I've been golfing for years and years and years, and I don't golf enough with ladies. So when we do our HR Besties retreat, I will say my first shot my daughter ever saw me hit was a hole-in-one.
That's kick ass.
Yeah, and you know what? It was crazy. Somebody had DM'd me on Instagram. They're like, you post about golf, and I don't post that much about golf. But she's like, for some reason, I thought of you, and it was a plaque for a hole-in-one. And I was like, wait, this was like a few months ago. And I was like, oh my God, I actually had a hole-in-one 10 years ago. And I never got a plaque. And so I ordered it from this craft person. I'll find it. I'll put it in the show notes because it was so great. And it was total crazy coincidence. Yeah. And so I like to golf. I play tennis. I run, but I really like
competitive.
Not really, to be honest with you. Like I do play
you're just very active.
Yeah. Like I just like to get out and have a good time.
Like I'm a putt girly.
I like to meet people. I've met people in tennis that will recognize me from social media, and it's like literally absolutely wild. It doesn't happen that much, but I love to write, and so I did like a poem called "The Ballad of the Quarantine Mom" at the beginning of COVID. And growing up, I always wanted to be a playwright. It was my goal, and so now I do that in the form of TikTok videos, 59-second videos,
exactly.
and so I love that, and I do that quite a bit outside of work.
Awesome. Oh, I love it. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. That was Jamie's like, no. She didn't want to use her voice. She's just shaking her head over there.
Jamie White Claw over there.
But I do have a question. So not a comment, but a quick question from me. Since we're talking about HR and wellness within HR, I'm just curious, what's the craziest thing that you've been yelled at for as an HR professional? And I can go first while you think.
Yeah.
But put it on the list. Actually, I just thought of like 20 things now. But one of the craziest things, I've been yelled at a lot, unfortunately, was I had an employee come in and his check was off by a dime. 10 cents. And I got cussed out over a dime. And I said, here, take a fucking quarter and get the fuck out of here, basically. But in an HR way. I'm so sorry about that, sir.
Well, I can't think of anything, but one thing that always works to my favor is pretending like I'm dumb. But then with the smart ass on the back end. Like, let me take a look at that. Like, I'll take a look at that for you. It looks like, here's a quarter. Like, I'm that girl.
God.
Like,
wishing you the day you deserve.
Yeah.
You ever been yelled at for something at work where you're like, that was rude as hell?
Yeah, for sure. I've been more. I've probably been more yelled at with opposing counsel when I was a lawyer.
Sure.
Actually, although I actually am LinkedIn friends with a lot of people I worked with, even when I was a lawyer for companies, because I, tried to get to resolutions. And I would say to people, and so I'd say, listen, I understand your perspective, and I would try to listen to it, and I would, give the legal, where I saw legal things were. But when it comes to people-related things, I never saw having animosity. It really didn't help. Every once in a while, those people bring it first, and then I become fucked up, Ashley, and I will give it right back to them. But I do try to stay calm. But I do get irritated on that when people are unnecessarily aggressive, which some lawyers are, and it's ridiculous. But I tend to try to bring it back and have pretty good conversations. But I think the one thing is, if you won't do people's benefit selections for them, like log into their account and you show people how to do it. And I don't have time for this shit. I'm trying to do this thing. Well, makes two of us. Makes two of us. And so that I have gotten. And yes, the American healthcare system and this system, we've actually made it pretty easy. Watch this,
exactly.
If you watch this video, try to make it.
I actually had our CIO, who is a complete douchebag. He was a terrible hire. I said he was a terrible hire. Once again, people don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
But probably a month or two in, he put me on a Teams chat in a group with me, my boss, and him, and said, well, Jamie told him this.
The buster under her.
Yeah. And like, then we all get on a Teams call because that's what he decided. Everyone needed to be on a Teams call. Luckily, I didn't actually have any other meetings. So we quickly got, and he starts raising his voice to me. And I was like, I could feel myself boiling. Like because usually I am cool, calm, collected Jamie because I'm HR Jamie and I'm wearing that hat. And I could feel myself getting upset. So instead what I did was I literally used the snippet tool from what I had told the employee in our chat the day prior, and I just sent it in the Teams while he's still yelling. And it's so funny because my boss, you could tell she was like even flustered herself because she knew me better than that. And she was like, I don't think Jamie would say that. And I was like, okay. And then you can see him like look over and see it. And he was like, oh, okay. And he just hung up.
Oh my gosh. What a chicken shit.
Yeah.
Fled.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah, he was always a rude ass. But that really like upset me. And don't get me wrong. Look, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone fucks up. But automatically having to be on the defense is just so uncalled for.
Or like, people assuming we'll talk
it's
about
like, I'm sorry that your employee lied.
Well, in a future staff meeting is assuming the worst in people. I'm sure that's another topic for another day.
Yes. Oh, damn.
But we have Jamie's hard stop, so.
I know, we do have Jamie's hard stop.
She's very busy.
And so we do wish you all best regards and blue skies. Until we meet again, besties. We can't wait to our next staff meeting. So long.